Welcome back to a Sergeant in the Kitchen episode. Today we're doing one of my favorite things with venison. We're going to go ahead and make it into some jerky. I'm going to share with you today my favorite marinade as well as the easiest two ways to finish jerky without a dehydrator. One is going to be in the oven. Everyone's got an oven, I would hope, or access to an oven that you can use. The second will be smoking it. So I know a smoker, just like a dehydrator, not everyone has. That's why today we're gonna do half in the oven, half in the smoker, and I'm gonna show you both process. But let's jump into it. The first thing is what cut of meat to use. My favorite cut to use is the roast. One, we don't use roast for a lot of things off the deer. And then two, it's very lean. Fat is the enemy of jerky. So whatever you do, even if you go to the store and buy some beef, make sure you get a cut of beef or a cut of venison that is very lean as you can get it. You're gonna take that roast or steaks or whatever you wanna use, you're gonna rinse it, pat it dry, and then you're gonna put it in your freezer for about 25 minutes. You want that outside to be a little tough when it comes out of the freezer. It's gonna make it really easy to slice thinly, whether you're using a slicer or just a fillet knife. Lucky for you guys, I've already sliced mine up and marinated it, so I'm a little ahead of the curve for the video. But once you have that meat sliced as thin as you can get it, this is the marinade you're gonna wanna use. Now, before I get into the ingredients, I do just wanna say two things. One, this is my second favorite marinade. Very easy, very quick. It's Fleet Farm's Hot and Spicy. I suggest if this is your first time making jerky, go to a box store, get yourself something really simple. This is 2 packets with some water and you marinate that meat. But just go ahead and go start with something really simple and just get a couple reps under your belt and test out how you do things, what your oven temperature is, things like that. But my marinade is as follows. 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of onion salt, 1 teaspoon of garlic salt, a 1/4 teaspoon black pepper, a 1/4 teaspoon red pepper, 1 teaspoon white pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of meat tenderizer, 1 teaspoon of celery salt. That is your dry ingredients. There's no brand specific here with the dry part of this marinade. Some recipes out there, you want the Louisiana Cajun when they ask for it. They want the Lawry's seasoned salt. It is important. There is one ingredient in this marinade that I think it is important to, and that is the soy sauce. I prefer La Choy. I think La Choy comes out with a much better flavor when you're done. If all you have in the house is Kiko Man, go ahead and use it. However, I believe it's going to come out very different. They're very different flavor profiles. But the wet ingredients are as follows. 1 teaspoon of lemon juice, 1 teaspoon of Kitchen Bouquet, 1/3 cup of the rest of these ingredients. Water, barbecue sauce of choice, that's just kind of as important as the soy sauce, but whatever your favorite barbecue is, go ahead and use it. Worcestershire sauce, soy sauce, and liquid smoke. You're gonna mix those things together, place your meat, mix it around really, really well, and make sure that everything is combined, and you're gonna pop that in the fridge for 24, 36 hours. Lucky for us, I did mine 24 hours ago. It's ready to go, and then we're gonna start with the oven first. So I'm gonna go ahead and put half of this meat in the oven. We're gonna go over how to do it in your oven. There's a few little tips and tricks that you need to know, and a warning you need to know about your oven. So over here at the oven, there's 2 things you need to do. 1, do not preheat your oven when you're doing jerky. You don't want the metal to be hot when you're placing the meat in there. But 2, you're gonna want some sort of foil on the bottom. Now, this is the warning. Make sure you check your oven's instructions. This one specifically warns you not to lay foil on the bottom part of the pan. So I just take that bottom rack, I wrap it in foil so that way all those juices that are gonna be dripping into your jerky as it's dehydrating don't land on the bottom and start burning and smoking up your house. So just a quick tip there, make sure you use foil or parchment paper, whatever you want to use, but just make sure to check your oven's instructions and make sure that you're not damaging it while you do this. So we're gonna start the oven process here at the sink. At the sink, all we're gonna do is squeeze out a little bit of that excess liquid from the jerky. It soaked up a lot of that marinade, and if you just throw it in your oven, it's going to drip a ton. Now, you did put foil down or parchment paper like I suggested. However, it's still gonna create a bit of a smoky mess. So you're definitely gonna wanna squeeze it out a little bit, and then we'll get to the next step. You're gonna wanna pull that tinfoil tray out or lay some new parchment paper or tinfoil while you do this part, because the jerky is gonna drip. It's definitely gonna drip, and you don't want those juices on your oven face or in the bottom of the pan. So, and then we're gonna start sticking these toothpicks into the thick part of these slices of meat, and just setting them in between the rails. And then you're gonna load up as much as you can. Try to stay in the middle the best you can. It's gonna be the most uniform temp. If you're gonna fill your rack up, just make sure to put the thicker pieces on the edges, near that heat, or the back where it's gonna be definitely hotter than the front of the oven. All right, we got our jerky in the oven. We're gonna set that oven to as low as it goes. So our oven is a 170, so that's what I aim for, and that's what I tell people to do. 170, 175. If you can get down to 165, that's ideal as well. The timing just may vary. So you have your jerky hanging, your oven set to 170. Take yourself a wooden spoon or something non-flammable, and all you're gonna do is prop that door open. So we're gonna leave this wooden spoon in there the whole time. That's gonna create that airflow coming out of your oven. Your oven's gonna keep pumping in the heat. It's gonna keep escaping, and it's gonna dehydrate that jerky in an incredible way. So make sure you use something non-flammable, because obviously it's gonna get hot touching the metal in there, but that's why I use these wooden spoons. All right, our jerky's in the oven. It's set to 170. The spoon is in. Let's go ahead and get started on the smoker side of the house. All right, I got my racks here for my smoker. Now, I know they're already got a non-stick coating and things, but trust me when I tell you, the first time I did this, I regretted not giving them a little spray before you throw your meat on. The meat for these smoker racks, I just lay across. I don't spend the time to hang it and slide it in there, especially when I have a lot of meat to do. I need multiple racks. I don't know how many racks this is gonna take, so I'm not gonna hang it. I'm just gonna lay it on the racks, and then we'll head out to the smoker. All right, here we are at the smoker. I'm gonna go ahead and get these racks loaded up. The smoker, you're definitely gonna wanna come check it after 2.5 hours, maybe even 2 hours. And make sure you don't need to adjust the racks, put a rotation on the racks, because especially in a vertical one like this, the bottom is getting a little bit warmer than the top. You may need to take that bottom rack and rotate it to the top to make sure you get a nice uniform jerky at the end. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been 4 hours, and we're gonna check on this oven jerky. Now, this part is such a hard judgment when it comes to making jerky, and the first few times you do it, you're gonna be second guessing yourself the whole time. But what you're looking for, hopefully this is focusing, but this is what you're gonna look for. Let's pull the toothpick out of this one. I can tell it's done. When you bend it, it doesn't snap in half. It's still a little malleable, but it breaks open. This piece is perfect. All you want to make sure is that if you bend it in half on a few that you check, there's no moisture in there. And let me show you an example. So that's what it's going to look like if it's not quite done. It might splinter a little bit, but otherwise it's going to be really bendy. This you want to leave in for probably another 30 minutes. Check on it every 30 minutes until it bends how you need it to. But this is definitely the toughest part of making jerky, is just trying to tell if it's done or not. And if anyone in the comments below has a better way to tell, that's a perfect piece. If anyone has a better way to tell, make sure to leave it in the comments below. But from my experience, so far, bending it like that, seeing that it breaks but doesn't snap, that's pretty much the perfect point for me. And this jerky is pretty damn good. So, I'm finished getting the rest of this out of the oven, except for a couple of few thick pieces and a few pieces that are folded over on themselves. Let's get after it. Alright, so here is our oven jerky. It is done. I have a couple pieces that are in the oven for a little bit longer. However, the majority of it is done to my liking. Now, this is the hardest part of making jerky, and it's going to take you a few tries to get it to a point where you like it. You can have it a little less done than mine, a little more done than mine. It doesn't really matter. It's going to be personal preference. Now, I like mine right about here because I'm going to leave these pieces out overnight still, let them cool down, let them dry out just a little bit more before I package them up. So they're going to be perfect, and I can tell you right now, the flavor is delicious as well. You don't have a smoker, you don't have a dehydrator, make sure to throw some in the oven. Give it a shot. Don't be intimidated. Don't think that jerky is that hard to make, because it really isn't. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, make sure if it's your first try, just go get a box of marinade, try it out, give it a few shots so that you can get, you know, your doneness down. And then from that point forward, go on and try to make some of this marinade if you want to try this one, or someone else's. But I recommend starting with the box stuff, giving it a few tries with small portions, a pound at a time, so you're not wasting venison as you're learning. And then once you got it down, that's when you go ahead and throw 3, 4, 5 pounds in at a time. But today, I just want to give you guys my favorite marinade, how to do it in each one, and what to look for, figure out if it's done or not. That's gonna do it for today's episode. If you have any comments, concerns, questions about this process or anything involved, make sure to leave them down below. But for now, make sure you guys like, share, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, see you in the kitchen. It is incredible.